as a Bearcat, as a coach, and then Drake, and now with Iowa and that great run that they had. And what an amazing scene it was with that Elite Eight that included 5 Kansas City kids on the court at one time with Iowa, and then Keaton Wagler for Illinois. Coming up at 10:40, Fran McCaffrey, formerly of the Iowa Hawkeyes coach. We'll have a conversation with him about the difference in today's coaching versus the past as Bill Self makes his decision. He is returning, so we'll talk with Fran McCaffrey. Matt Lane, we'll talk some Chiefs with him coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll be joined by Joey Chestnut. Joey Jaws will be here at Radio Row. Looking forward to that, to see, just to talk to Joey Chestnut about his life, and we'll see what else comes up in that conversation. At noon, very much looking forward to this conversation. Brandon Burgett, the newest assistant coach for the Kansas City Roos, and let's be honest, more importantly, guys, a Lee Summit North Bronco. I mean, what's the point of even talking with an assistant coach who didn't go to Lee Summit North? Not me. I wouldn't do it, that's for sure. If I'm going to talk to a Roo assistant coach, it's going to be a guy that's a Bronco and went to Lee Summit North, all-state member as well. So, you know what? Brandon and I combined, Sterling, he and I combined have made one all-state team. So, in basketball. So, there we go.
That's incredible.
That's going to be
proud of you.
I mean, right? Yeah. That's when our powers combined were like Captain Planet, only if there was somebody with Captain Planet that did nothing. We're like that. He would be all 4 of the elements.
Bam Adebayo and I combined for 83 points that one night.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I've given you credit since then. So please give me my flowers when it comes to Brandon and I and our state, all-state teams. Thank you very much. Kevin Kruger will be here at 12:30. He is the assistant coach for Illinois, the son of Lon. We'll talk with him. And you know what I want to talk to him about, guys, is I'm just fascinated at the recruiting of Keaton Wagler. And, you know, how they found him, how he was overlooked, how his development has helped them get to this spot. Obviously, his dad has connections to the Kansas City area and K-State and everything like that. But I'm really curious about that part of it as to, you know, how we've talked about it so many different times, but now an actual assistant coach that's part of the recruiting process as to how this guy got out of the area here and ended up at Illinois. And then we got some sports at leisure today in the 1 o'clock hour presented by Johnny's Tavern. We'll be giving away $25 to Johnny's Tavern. That's how the show lines up. We'll see if it ends up being that, as always, when it comes to Radio Row at the Super Bowl or here at the Final Four. I'm not sure of what today and tomorrow will bring in terms of lining up and things being on time, just simply because the Super Bowl was so good in how everything seemed to be on time, and it just never happens, that I wonder if we used all of our fortune on that week. We'll see. Maybe we're just kissed this year with some of these interviews. We'll see. The Kansas Jayhawks got a little kiss from Bill Self as he has announced that he is returning to coach at Kansas. Michael, I'll bring you in right out of the gates, buddy. We had talked about that it certainly seemed like all the momentum was heading towards him stepping down and retiring. I said last week, the longer this thing goes, you know, this was going into the weekend, and I said if we don't find out something by, you know, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday at the latest, then I'm pretty sure he's going to be returning, because you'd like to have an idea of who the coach is going to be with the portal opening next week, that if or at that point would be the week after. But if Bill Self hasn't made his decision next week and it gets later on in the week, then there's no other decision except to return, because you know, there's a lot of stuff that would have to happen from him deciding to step down to then who the next coach is and Tyron Stokes and things like that. He makes the statement, Jayhawk Nation, with renewed clarity and the ongoing support from our administration, I remain focused and committed to Kansas basketball competing for a national championship. I look forward to seeing and hearing the best fans in college basketball next season at Allen Fieldhouse. Michael, your reaction to Bill Self returning and the statement.
I was shocked. On a scale from 1 to 10, the shock factor, the shock meter was probably at an 8 or a 9, because after the crushing loss to St. John's, he said something that Bill Self has never been, I guess, whenever asked about his retirement or if he was going to step away from coaching, he was always like, no, I'm going to be the head coach at Kansas. But after losing to St. John's, he said, I had to go talk to my family, talk to the doctors, see if this was something that made sense for me to continue with my health. And whether he got cleared from the doctors or he decided that he just wanted to continue coaching, come back for another season, obviously I'm thrilled, but I think that this is a decision that he definitely made with consulting his doctors and his family. And I think we're going to see some of these recruits, or Tyron Stokes, the number one player in the class. I think a decision for him is going to come pretty quickly now.
I wonder too, guys, and we'll go around the room and just give our initial reaction on this. Are we going to be watching a Bill Self year to year, that at the end of next season, if that's cutting down the nets on a Monday night, or if it's sometime during the NCAA tournament, is it going to be a Bill Self saying, well, yeah, I'm going to take some time with my family and decide if this is something that I want to do, and with the health and things like that, yeah, I'm going to take some time to figure this out? Or is this Bill Self has done that and is making a commitment for, let's say, even 2 years, right? Not just a year to year. Maybe it's a 2-year cycle, and then at the end of what would be the 28 NCAA tournament, he would say, I'm going to take some more time and figure out what my next steps are. Do we think this is year to year, or we're not going to be talking about this at the end of the 27 tournament?
Yeah, I think if you're coming back, it's a 2-year situation. Again, barring another health scare, I think that this would be you'd want it to be and hope would be a 2-year at a minimum commitment. Part of me was laughing. I was thinking, is this going to be the most cruel April Fool's joke we've ever seen?
Oh my God!
I know.
April 1st, he announces,
and I know that Kansas came out and was like, "This upcoming thing, we're not participating in April Fools." And I go, "That's exactly someone who's participating in April Fools would say." That was going to be devastating. As the Mizzou fan in me, I was hoping it was an April Fool's joke. But no, he's going to be coaching until he's 93 there, continually cutting down nets. But to answer the actual question, I think it's probably a 2-year commitment. I doubt it's going year to year, again, barring another health scare.
I think it has to be year to year, just because with the health situation that happened. I mean, he missed the Colorado game earlier this last year, and I think he had another stint put in his heart. So I don't really think that this is something long-term. They definitely can't plan on him being there in 2028. I think this is likely going to be a situation where after every season, he talks to his wife, he talks to his family, and he talks to his doctors, and they come to a collective decision. I don't want to say that this year is going to be his last, because I thought last year might have been his last.
Is this Travis Kelce? Is Bill Self and Travis Kelce the same guy?
It seems very,
did he sign an extension with a poison pill that if he's if he's the head coach in 2027 of June, then a $40 million guaranteed contract kicks in for the 28 basketball season?
And guess what? I think if that was the case, he'd probably still be coaching.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not stepping down. Hey, Travis, about that whole poison pill thing, I've decided to go ahead and take the $40 million guaranteed. Sorry about that. I think this is I don't know if he spends the time and discusses whether or not he wants to come back if it's only for a year. I would think that if you're going to make the decision to come back, it almost would have to be for more than a year, because if you're only saying, well, I want to come back and then maybe next year I won't, or the year after that I won't, I think at that point then you just simply step down. Unless you really think that this year, with whoever you have coming back, if you've got some idea of that, whoever you have coming in, we know about TK, but, is Tyron Stokes a guy that, is going to commit once he got a commitment from Bill Self that he was going to return? And you're saying, you got a couple of one-and-dones there, the number one player in America in Stokes. So let me just ride this thing out this year and then see where we're at after that. I don't know. My guess is if you're going to take the time to really assess everything and examine how you coach, what it takes to coach at the level that he does, the competitiveness, I can't imagine it being for, hey, 12 months from now I'm going to readdress this. I don't think that would be fair to KU either. I'm not saying that Travis Goff would say, yeah, no thank you, coming back for only 1 year. You'd say, yeah. It could also be, guys, that I'll throw out the possibility that if it's year to year, Bill Self may be, looking around and saying there's no obvious candidate. So, if I feel like I can still do it for another year, I want to return for another year. Maybe at that point there's a clear and obvious candidate that can take over. And then, at that point, I'll make a decision that maybe I step down then. I would guess that this is more than a year. that this is probably a 2-year commitment for Bill Self to the university. And I'm not saying that Travis Goff would say if it's only 1 year, sorry, you got to go, Bill. But I would be surprised if every year he's going to start doing this year-to-year thing, because it's going to be tough to go out there on the recruiting trail for high school kids. And I know there's a lot about the transfer portal, right? But Bill Self and what his strengths have been developing players and keeping those guys around in that system. I think it's tough to do that if it's a year to year, and I may be back next year, I may not. Hey, you're going on the high school recruiting trail. Come commit to Kansas. I know you're not a one and done, but you'll be there. I'll be there your freshman year. I don't know about sophomore year. I don't know about junior, because then you start getting recruited against. So I'm going to guess this is a multi-year thing for Bill Self.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's different than again, when you are playing versus coaching. I know I made the joke of Travis Kelce, but I think there is the big differentiator of when you are coaching. The organization, the school needs to know it's more. How many coaches have we seen just do it? It's my final year. You see it occasionally, but even then, it puts the school in such a hard spot, because when you say that out loud, how do you recruit? How do you? You're right. How do you get guys there? If you're saying out loud, this is my final year, then all those freshmen were like, okay, well, I don't want to go there if I'm not going pro. I want to be at an organization, and maybe NIL changes this. Maybe the transfer portal changes and dudes don't care as much anymore. But if I were a high school senior and you know the head coach is only there for one season, I don't know if I'd choose to go to that school.
Yeah, I would question that as well. But, I mean, if you're a one and done, then it doesn't matter. If I've got Bill Self for 1 year and that's where I want to go, then that's where I want to go. I just wonder what the renewed clarity is. With renewed clarity and the ongoing support from our administration, I remain focused and committed to Kansas basketball competing for a national championship. Maybe the renewed clarity of, I've taken some time, I've thought about this, I've examined what life is going to be like post-basketball. I know what it's like. I've experienced that for a little bit when I wasn't able to coach in the Big 12 and the NCAA tournament, a few years ago. And is that what I want to do? Can I manage my health while also doing the job at the highest level that I expect of myself? Then maybe that's the renewed clarity. And if there's renewed clarity, if that's what the renewed clarity is, I don't know if it's just for 1 year. The last point I want to make on this, and then we'll take a timeout and we'll talk with Ben McCollum, head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes, whose name was mentioned around the Kansas job when people were wondering if Bill Self would step down. This, to me, like we've seen Roy Williams, who also stepped down at North Carolina, retired on April 1st, and people wondered if it was an April Fool's Day. Roy Williams is retiring, April Fool's. No, he's actually retiring. He decided to do it on April 1st. But this was like we've seen those coaches, Tony Bennett, Roy Williams, whether it was Coach K, whether it was Jay Wright or not, Chris Kleiman at Kansas, in the emotional press conference that we heard there with the administration talking about, this system has taken a good man away from football. This was an easy out for Bill Self in that I'm leaving college basketball because of my health, not because of the NIL or the transfer portal, not because of the new age college basketball that I just don't want to deal with anymore. It's not because of that. It's because of my health. Because some of these guys are stepping down. Bruce Pearl stepped down really to give his kid a job, but also it's like, do you want to deal with, what's going on in the pay for play right now and what the unknown of the future is, right, et cetera, et cetera. This was an easy out. And if he's not doing that, then it's clearly not blaming the system, not making excuses for what's going on, and taking another year or two with eyes wide open of understanding what it's going to take to get Kansas back to the top. This, if it was I hate this system and I don't want to coach in this anymore, but I don't want people thinking that I'm stepping away because of that, this was an easy out and a clean break, that it was the health reason is to step away. So I think that's also something to consider. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling here at Radio Row. Ben McCollum will be our guest coming up at 10:20. So in a few minutes from now, more Zone coming up next.
Yo, baseball fans, FanDuel is giving you a chance to call your shot with daily dingers. Joining the action is easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game, and if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. So today, it's a great thing they do. It's free. It's a free pick. You get to choose from a list of about 12 guys. Today, I went with Willie Adames. Tried to switch things up, not go with a massive name or with Willie Adames. If that pick wins, I will get a profit boost to use. It's just that simple. It's a free pick who's hitting a home run right there on FanDuel. It's fun. It's simple. It's the best. And it's another reason why FanDuel is the home of home runs. All you need to do is head over to FanDuel.com/local or the app, and you opt in for daily dingers to make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. I legit did it in that segment. It's just that simple. I wanted to make sure who I was going to roll with before this because I wanted to talk about it. So I'm going with Willie Adames. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball.
21 plus and present in Missouri. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. Our coverage here at Radio Row presented by Ready Services, Reed Collision Centers, and Ryan Lawn and Tree. Joining us now, head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Here in the zone, it is Ben McCollum on this Thursday. Ben, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic, man, doing fantastic. It has been a blast watching from afar with your career and what has happened. And so, first of all, congratulations. I know it wasn't the ending that you wanted, but what a phenomenal ride that was for the Iowa Hawkeye fans and what your team was able to accomplish.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a fun run. Obviously, we'd like to still be playing, but we felt like we competed and fought and got ourselves a chance to be able to play in the Final Four, but came up just a little bit short.
Have you taken time, Ben, to reflect on what took place? I know it's probably still raw, but making that Sweet 16, making the Elite Eight run for Iowa, giving the Hawkeye fans some hope and some excitement of where the future is. Have you taken some time to reflect and think about it?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not a ton. I think that you just jump right back into trying to do it again and get a little bit step further. And so when you coach college and just coaching in general, it's so process-driven that as you're kind of driving through that process, you don't get an opportunity to really enjoy it. So, maybe in a couple months, or I might sit down and think about it. But right now, we're focused on trying to get it going and trying to get past that point.
And I know we're talking right now, but if you had time to rest your voice a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you get your voice in shape.
Okay, yeah.
Every summer, then I restart and start trying to get my voice going again, and then I'll lose it for like a couple weeks. But once you get it in shape, it's in shape, and then you're good for the rest of the season.
Ben McCollum is our guest. What was it about this group, Coach, that you go through this run? You get ready for Florida, you get ready for Nebraska, and then Illinois. What was it about this group that you felt confident was able to get it done, and why is this the group that got Iowa back to where they hadn't been since you were in high school, really?
Yeah, I think we had a really connected group. We had kids that had won for their entire careers, and so they were able to just fight and compete and do those things. Obviously a couple Kansas City kids certainly help with that, with Bennett Sturts Kim Manuel. Those two in particular were fantastic for us. And both of them won a lot in high school and continue to do that at the Big Ten level.
Did you, when you were recruiting Bennett, and I think we've had this conversation before at Drake, but those levels that he went from, Liberty to Northwest Missouri State and Drake and now at Iowa, and has shown that every single level how well he can play and can raise his game. Did you see that at Liberty, that, okay, I'm bringing him to Northwest Missouri State, but I'm getting a guy who could be an all Big Ten player at one of these Big Ten schools, and I'm getting him here at Northwest Missouri State?
Yeah, I knew it. I didn't know it right when we recruited him. I knew he was at the very least, a mid-major, guard. And then once we started to coach him about halfway through his freshman year, you're like, man, he's a Big Ten guard, Big 12 guard. I mean, he's all of that. And he obviously continued up the ranks, and he almost got better the higher the level.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about him and his work ethic and his humility to be coached. And I think the sky's the limit in the NBA for him.
Does he ever get, overly excited or demonstrative or theatrical ever, or is it no matter what, like wins a big video game or something, is just like sort of they're just cool, calm, and collected? Is he ever somebody that's rattled at any point?
Not a ton. He gets more excited than you would think. I think
Okay.
It's just in game. He's just going to stay pretty stoic and stay pretty steady. But yeah, I mean, he's competitive. He's obviously fiercely competitive to be able to do what he's done. It's just he just doesn't probably show it as outward as most would.
Yeah, it's great because just watching him play for a long time and seeing the national people get a chance to see him play, and it was like, this guy, I mean, no matter the situation, just seems like he's always in control, and certainly of his emotions as well. It seems like Patrick Mahomes has that. They had the different things connected to him that showed that his blood pressure was lower when he had the ball in his hands than it was when he was on the sideline watching. And it's like, okay, how is he able to do that? The guys are rushing him, coming at him, trying to hit him, and he's calmer then than he is watching the game. I would guess that is Bennett Sturt's one of those guys that probably has the same thing. When he's on the floor, it's probably more calm and in the game than maybe if he's watching other people try to get it done.
I mean, I would bet so. I know he doesn't like to sit out a whole lot, but he doesn't sit out ever, so you just have no idea. I would guess so. I think a lot of high achievers are probably like that because it gives them a sense of control. And